Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Corsair Air 740. Air 740, I hear you say? Well yes, this is the bigger brother to the Air 540. It's the cube case. You may have seen it in some of my other reviews because I use it personally as the test case that I do all my motherboard reviews in. So if you've seen that one with the crazy kind of design around the outside, that's the 540. So I've had a lot of time with that, so I'm quite excited to get my hands on this and see what they've done and what they've changed. New things, old things, have they fixed things? Only time will tell. So without further ado, okay, so we always start at the front. Now, because of the height of my table now, we've had to kind of change things a little bit, but this is just to give you a kind of good look at the case from the front. Also, what we will have to do is when we do get to the roof, is I'm going to have to do it manually because my tripod actually doesn't go high enough anymore. But on the front left, we have the power switch up here, and then we have your reset switch here. Got two USB 3s, microphone, headphone, and then an LED switch. What could that possibly be for? When we get round the other side and we start showing you some of the other bits, I'll show you. But this is something that's going to be really helpful if you end up getting some of the new Corsair RGB fans. Yes, RGB fans. If you've not seen, go and have a look. I have done a video on those. It's going to be up on the channel as well. We will feature them because they're actually fitted in here right now as well. This little cutout, we will show you a better view from the other side as well. But this, it's unconfirmed at the moment, but what's being suggested is this is going to be an optional extra that you're going to be able to buy from Corsair, and it will be a HDMI pass-through for any of those of you that want to add in a front HDMI for your virtual reality headsets. The front can be pulled off, but you do need to be able to get to it from the side, and it pops off one piece. You can see that we've got the mesh down this side and all your switches. And then what that does expose is this is where the pass-through will go. You've got your switches and stuff there. You do have a removable dust filter, which is all rather lovely. These are the HD RGB fans, but they do not come with this case. I've just got them fitted so that I can show you the LEDs later. What you do get is two 140mm fans there. I think they're called 140Ls. So you get two of those in the front. So what we can see in the front is you can get 240mm fans in. That's what it comes with. You can also get three 120s in, so that does mean you can fit 140 radiators and 120 radiators, and then you've got up to a maximum of 280mm for the 140s, up to a maximum of 360mm for the 120s. The dust filter does have a little locating pin on it, so that when it does go in, that's it, it snaps in place, it's all there and done. The front just literally pops back on, and then what you can also do, there we go, so it's all nice and simple, and I just kick the tripod. So this is the roof, but we've just got the case laid on its side, and the reason why I've got it laid on its side is just because I have to float the camera otherwise. So this is the back chamber, which I'll show you in a second. You can see that the top's full there, unfiltered or anything is what I should say. It's just, you know what I mean. So we've got, this is a 240mm radiator in the top. It's actually a H100i V2, but you can see that you can put 140s in there as well. So you can fit the H110i GT or the H115 if you should wish as well. So basically we've got 240, 280 or 360 in the front. Then we've also got the possibility of putting a 240 or a 280 in the roof as well. We're now at the bottom. You can tell this because you can see the 4 case feet. We would normally show you the bottom anyway, but just like the roof, you've got 2 thumb screws at the back that you can remove if you want to remove the panel. When we open that up again, we can see mounts again for 120mm and 140mm fans, which does mean you can put a 240 or a 280 in the bottom. When we get on the inside, I will talk to you about spacings a little bit more. You can see that I've got a radiator in the front, so if you're going to put a radiator in the front, that can hamper the ability of being able to use the bottom. But again, we'll talk to you about that more when we get on the inside. One thing I will say, as this is the bottom, I would have liked to have seen a dust filter, and there's nothing there at all. Okay, so round the back side, this is your first glimpse at the fact that it is a little bit wider, and we've got the PSU on the opposite side. They have introduced this time some fan mounts. Now, I'll show you more on the other side, but you don't particularly need to worry about this. You don't need to add airflow in this side. It's really not necessary. But anyway, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just having a brain fart. But yes, there are 8. For some reason I thought it was 9 and I was miscounting. Anyway, so we've got 8 expansion slots. So you've got your normal 7, or if you've got a longer board, or you've got an extra graphics card hanging off the bottom, you've got enough there. You've got the little vent down the side. Obviously your graphics card can blow out the side. I have to say, I would like to have seen some, especially now it's a newer case, I'd like to have seen a mount to have put a graphics card on its side over here, even if it was one that you had to screw and add in. I think it's about time that we start adding those in, especially where we're getting really nice graphics cards that we want to show off. Even if you had to buy the PCI Express riser, I do think this is a bit of a missed opportunity. We can see that we've got a bit of ventage up the top. This is the fitted 140mm fan, same as the 2 that you would get in the front. But this is the standard fan in the back, and you can see it's got a grill over the top. Behind that, there is just a hole, but you can swap that fan out. I said it's a 140, but there are mounts there if you would like to fit a 120 instead. To the rear of the case, the back of the case, again, door is 2 thumb screws, same as the top and the bottom. You can pull that off. One thing I will say though is we've got the mesh here, because that is where your power supply goes on the other side, and there is a removable magnetic dust filter. This is the type of thing I would like to have seen in the bottom of the case, really. So when we get onto this side, one thing that I can show you is if I pull this out, is we have a removable solid state drive caddy, and you can put a total of 4 solid state drives in there should you wish. You can also break this out. It's modular, so if you would prefer to just have 2 or 1, it doesn't matter. You can take it apart and do so as you wish. I've actually, as you can see around here, there is a gap between the back of the power supply that I have been using for cable routing, and I would thoroughly recommend that as well, because at the bottom there is a big gap here. You can get underneath this cage and this mount here, and you can also get round the back of the power supply. So it does just make sense to be able to route some of them up and around here. This is my 8 pin that I've got for the motherboard power, and we've also got the SATA power here, and that's just been so that when we do fit the mount at the back, there we go, I've got my SATA power that I can plug into my solid state drive. But also with this cage mount, the reason why I moved it there is you can have it up here as well. And I just decided to, for cable tidying sense, because there are mounts there that you can slide it in, I turned mine round to the back, just so that I could actually use that as a little routing area instead. And I think that makes a little bit more sense, especially once you've got your 8 pin and everything like that in. If you do have it fixed to the back of the motherboard, then you kind of hinder this area and you can't really use it. But it does give you the opportunity to make the decision for yourself. But like I said, if it was me, I would say to you guys, put your solid state drive mount up the back there, even if it is just the one, because it does relieve that area for you to be able to do what you want with it. Up on the top left, this is removable as well, but this is 3.5 inch mounts. There is a little bit of venting at the front, And one thing I will say is you've got your 3.5-inch mounts. If you're going to have them all like crammed in there and you are going to have hard drives in, that will probably be the only time when most of you will ever need to use the 180 mounts that you can have at the back here. But to be honest with you, it's not essential. Hard drives really don't get that hot unless you're running old Velociraptors or something like that that are heat sensitive. It's probably not going to make any difference. All this is going to end up doing is adding noise. There's you've got, you know, airflow for one, you know, it's not going to build up, it's not going to turn into a hot box. I really wouldn't worry about it that much. If you're worried about your hard drives that much, what I would say is maybe get rid of this and then get some of the heat sinks that go on the side of the mechanicals and mount it in here, maybe at the front somewhere else, just so that it's got a bit more of a heat sink on it. But you know, you don't particularly need to use this. If I was going to have this as like a project case or something, I'd probably even cover this back section up entirely. So the back section is not probably as tidy as I would have liked because I've had to add in the controller for the fans, which I will show you in a bit. The controller for the fans, and that did add in a little bit more. I had it all lovely. If you imagine that all these black cables here weren't here before, it was all actually quite nice. And now it's not as nice, and I could have done with spending a little bit more time on it. But we run out of time to get this done ready for filming. The back section, there are some mounts at the front which appear to have been so that you could put a water cooling reservoir over here, or a pump if you wish. I did look in the reviewer's guide, there was no mention of it, but it does seem to line up with the sort of pump sort of mounts that I've seen in the past, so we're going to go with that. So you could hide a reservoir over here should you wish. You could also, if you got rid of your mechanical drive, if you think about it, you could have like one of the stand-up D5 pumps with a long reservoir like I use in Orca. And if you go down that route, I couldn't say enough that you're probably better off having like a half window in the case as well to make it look that little bit nicer. Let's face it, the 3.5 inches now, yes, they have their place, especially if you're on a tight budget, but with the prices of solid state drives falling and the capacities going up, I mean, you can pick up a 1 terabyte drive now for less than £200. You could end up going full solid state drive, even with a massive plethora of games. But if you're one of those people that is very much into lots of adult material, you can stream that, or you could build yourself a cheap home server and keep your main rig tidy. So as we've already seen, the door is hinged, have the handle on the front. There is a ever so slight smoke to it. As we swing it around, you can see it's not excessive. It's just a little bit. It might help take some of the glare out. I actually think it's a really nice kind of sort of like subtle grey rather than a deep smoke like you can get on some of the tempered glass windows. And it does leave things nice and open on the inside. You can see the HD 120s that I've got in the front. I will show you shortly. One of the things that we should talk about is radiator sizes. Now I have the H80i V2 there, and this is about 40mm thick. Now this is a 980 graphics card, excuse me, that we have here. And for a normal ATX sort of size board with a graphics card that does just about fall off the end of the board, and we're talking about a graphics card that is, let's say, 270mm long, you'll easily be able to get your set of fans up this side and a 60mm radiator. We have enough room here for me to be able to get a 60mm thick radiator. If you've got a shorter graphics card, then you'll probably be able to get a 60mm radiator, and you'll be able to squeeze a second set of fans on as well. In the roof, you have enough room. This is the H100i V2. Now we have up here a single set of fans. Now I would go as far as to say you could probably get a second set of fans above. It might be a little bit tight, but I reckon you'd be able to get away with it. In the bottom, you've got a maximum amount of room before the actual hard drive slots of, we're going to say 60mm. Now you probably could come up a little bit further, but as you can see on the bottom of the board that I've got, there are some connections that might stick out a little bit more. So you'd probably be better off with a 30mm thick radiator in the bottom if you were going to go that way, with a single set of fans. But if you have a radiator in the front, it could make things a little bit tighter. Obviously you're not going to have a hose coming directly out here, but you could just about squeeze in a radiator. If you had the bulbs at the top, you could just about squeeze in a radiator in the bottom and in the front. I think it might be difficult for you to be able to get a radiator in the top, the front and the bottom, because if you think about this is going to be where your radiator line is going to be. The problem that we have here is the fans are fine, but you are going to need an end tank at some point where the bulbs will come out. So if you want a rad in the top, then your bulbs will have to be at the bottom, and then the opposite way round. So it's going to be something you have to play with. I don't think you'll be able to get 3 radiators in here easily. I'm sure some master out there with amazing hosing skills will be able to say that they've got theirs done, and awesome. But for ease of use, for the average guy, you know, that's just going to be screwdriver and a Allen key in hand, I think it might be a little difficult. But I'd love to see if somebody does. If you do, please post it on the OC3D forums. I think, if anything, what we're going to end up with is hoses going through this end plate here. Okay, so I did say I would show you the new HD 120 fans, but I can't stress enough that I've made a full dedicated video on these and the new SP120 RGBs as well. But what I've done is I've wired up my switch, the LED switch, I've wired that up to the mode button. There are 3 different ones. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but anyway, so what we can do is just press it and it makes an instant difference to the fans. And I can keep pressing them to bring in different modes. This is probably my favourite one. It's actually on a little bit quick. I've still got the controller at the back, so I can just whip the back panel off and change the speed on these if I want. This is just having a spaz doing everything. And then back to white. For the eagle-eyed, you've probably noticed that I do have the Corsair Vengeance LED. I will be doing a review on those in the not too distant future as well. We're just waiting on the software to be able to fully control the lights at the moment. As soon as I've got that, I will be doing you a full review. But just the effect of the actual lights themselves at the moment, when they're all on, looks so nice. Okay, so this is my 540. This is actually the original white one, the original review sample that they sent to me way back for the original launch, and I'm still using it to this day for the motherboard reviews. So I know I've spent an awful lot of time with that case, and the only modification I've done, apart from the craziness on the outside, is I removed the hard drive bays in the bottom of the case and just put a standard blank bit of carbon fibre down there to cover up the holes. And I don't necessarily think that we needed a standard, you know, like plain base on this one. And I am happy that there's no hard drives or anything in the bottom of this one. But I do think, considering you can't necessarily flip it over easily, although we'll get to that, I do think it needed a dust filter, even if it was a little magnetic one to go in between the bottom panel and the inside. I do think just something thin there would have been really nice. Very similar to what there is for the power supply on the back panel. It would have been nice just to have had that on the outside, and I think it could have made all the difference if they'd wanted a one similar to the front, and that could have easily clipped in to the bottom as well, just to kind of cover up that, because it's a very easy place for air to get in, and once you've got your fans up in the front and in the roof, as most of you are going to do, or even if you end up having intakes in the bottom, there's no filter there for you to be able to run that through. So with that, I did kind of mention about it could go on its side. Anyway, so the award that we're going to give it is, do you know what? I actually, and this is something I sat down and think about, I'm going to give it the Aesthetics Award because I really like these prominent ridges down the front and across the top. Now, that may not be for everyone, but I personally really like that. And it was when it came out of the box, it was one of those ones where I was like, oh, I like that. And it's grown on me more and more as I've spent some time with it, because it's been here about a week or so now. It's not something that I've had to rush. The only thing that I had to rush was putting the HD fans in the front, because they only arrived today. So one of the things I will say is you could still turn it on the side if you wanted, almost like the 240S kind of way. The feet can come off. You'd have to make some feet for the bottom panel. It's not necessarily going to be particularly straightforward. It's something you could do if you want. It's not something Corsair, or probably me actually, are going to encourage you to do. It's an option for those of you, that want something a little bit different. I personally think it looks much better like this. The only reason why I bring it up is because it's almost a shame that some of those really nice grills that I like are hidden underneath. But anyway, you've got a lovely big window. There's a decent enough sized chamber in there. As I've explained, if you're careful about the end tanks, you can get 2 radiators in there comfortably. I expect there's going to be a modder out there somewhere that's going to be like really clever with their bends with hard tube or something that will be able to get 3 in. Maybe that's a job for Neg, or maybe that's a job for Dave to say he's the best at, but Neg. Anyway, Neg. Anyway, yeah, we're going to change it. I always mention them. Anyways, so I've completely lost my train of thought now. So you've got ample room in there. They call it the Air 740, upgraded from the 540 because they've given you more room for rads. They've got those extra fans in the bottom for you as well. I think the back section is a good upgrade as well, because you've got the quad mounts for the SSDs, and then you've also got the 3 mechanical drives. They've now been moved from this side, which I think kind of ruined the look of the old one, to hidden out the back where they really do belong. The fact though that we've got a switch on it that all links up with the new Corsair, fans, RGBs and stuff is brilliant, and that's why I wanted to get these fans in so I could show you what it's for. The only thing that I'm not 100% about is the pass-through on the front for the VR. Now that's not available at the moment. I think it ruins the lines a little bit. I mean, I don't know, do you actually need them right on the front of the case? Can they not come from around the back? I don't know, you tell me. Long short of it is, I actually really like this. And the one thing, I've not actually mentioned the price, is 139 quid. Which, considering the size of it and what you get, I think that's pretty good value for money as well. It's not going to be the cheapest case in the world, but let's face it, for something this big with this many design elements, it's not a simple case to design or produce. So for something with this much going on, it was never going to be either. But that massive side panel is absolutely lush. And if I was to turn this around so that you can see the lights in the front as well, don't forget we've got the rad in the bottom, covering the other one up, but it looks so nice. And when it's on your desk, it's one of those ones where you just it just instantly kind of feels like it belongs there. It's not kind of shouting for your attention too much until like you've covered it in lights and stuff, but that's a job for you guys to do. So I personally really like it, and the only thing that I would like to say right at the end is there going to be a white one? But for now at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you, and the Corsair. Yeah, we're going to stick with aesthetics. Actually, yeah, no, we're going to stick with aesthetics because I had some like properly kind of bounding out and about thoughts going on there. Sorry for having my brain farts coming into the video, but hey, that's why you just got to get used to that now, haven't you? It's just who I am. But with the second video today, as in on launch day, because I'm going to put them both up together and moving my hands like this and talking like this. I feel like I'm a bit like Tony Blair. But anyway, this is Tom Logan with another video for you. Out.